Hi, everyone. We are ready to get started. My name is Caitlin Edwards, and I'm the Community Events Manager here at Linux Professional Institute. Thank you for joining us today at our Ask Me Anything LPI Membership Edition. For those of you new to Linux Professional Institute, we are the global certification standard and career support organization for open source professionals. With more than 200,000 certification holders, we are the world's first and largest vendor-neutral Linux and open source certification body. We have certified professionals in over 180 countries, deliver exams in multiple languages, and have hundreds of training partners. We have gathered your questions over the past few weeks and created a presentation that will give you an overview of the why, how, the who, what, when, and where. So thank you for your submissions. During the webinar, we are still encouraging questions. Feel free to ask your questions using the Q&A or the chat box that you can find at the bottom of your screen. You can submit your questions publicly or privately. I will keep track and facilitate throughout the webinar. Please also note that in your chat box, you are able to switch between chatting with panelists only or choosing to chat with everyone. So if you are encouraged to chat with everyone as well. This webinar will be recorded, and the recording and slides will be sent out to everyone afterwards. Today's webinar will be led by Matthew Rice. Matthew Rice is the Executive Director of Linux Professional Institute. Prior to his executive role, he held the position of Director of Certification Development. Matthew was a licensed engineer in Canada in the fields of geophysics and software development, and has received his LPIC 1 in 2002. On that note, I will pass the mic. So Matthew, why don't you take it away?
Great. Thanks, Caitlin. And hi, everybody. And to some of you, I saw the attendee list early. Some of you are already members, so welcome, special welcome to you as well. Basically, this Ask Me Anything is here to answer questions that possibly aren't up on the website or common knowledge or obvious. So hopefully you guys brought a lot of questions, because this is actually mostly a repeat of the AMA that we did 2 months ago. So it would be great to add some more content. There's a little bit more for anybody that did come to the last one. So like the last one, I'll be answering questions: why, who, how, what, and when and where people can join if they want to. And I think we'll also pause for questions anytime. There's a lot of opportunities for that. All right, so first on to the why. Well, on why there's a membership program, the main impetus was there was a governance change to LPI. When LPI was originally founded, there weren't any certification holders, but the intent was always that LPI would hand off governance to those people, us. I'm a member as well, by the way. So there was changes to the bylaws and a new definition of a member. And if you go to lpi.org/bylaws, you can read the entire document. And basically, this is the current board's way of realizing that original goal of making this an organization for the people that were helping and certifying. So who can be a member? Right now, it is the people that hold our credentials. It's for the professional level credentials too, not the essentials track, at least now. That could always change, but I think the board figured it was best to start here and then see what the members were actually interested in doing with LPI itself. You do have to have an active credential. And so for people like me that got their LPIC credential almost 20 years ago, mine went inactive long ago because I wasn't able to take any of the exams because I was helping with the development. So there is a program for any of us where we can reactivate our certification so that we can join, and then we're just treated like one of the regular people. The other thing I should point out is the membership program's only for individuals. There's no membership program for companies or other organizations. We do have partner programs for them if they're interested, but this the unit of membership for LPI is an individual. And we have a lot of potential members, which is why we're also not marketing this very heavily. First of all, we already know who the potential members are. They're holding certifications in our database. But also, we're hoping that if there is a huge demand for membership, we don't get all 180,000 people trying the system out at once. Although we will be sending out emails to people over the rest of the year to let people know. This is a map of where our potential membership pool is. So the darker the color, the more people we have per capita. And I guess I'll let it speak for itself. All right. Actually, I'm not able to keep an eye on the chat. Are there any questions at this point?
No, no questions so far.
All right. Excellent. Okay. So how does someone become a member? The first thing that has to happen is after having the credentials is you have to agree to the membership terms. That includes a code of conduct. It was an amalgamation of a number of code of conducts used by other open organizations. Doesn't seem very onerous, mostly common sense. And that's one of the terms. The other one is there are dues for membership. We are working very hard to make it so that the value of the membership, even beyond just what you're doing with your certifications and keeping them active or anything like that, is way beyond the dues that are paid. And then during the membership, there's a ongoing requirement for professional development. This is similar to programs you'd see by the ISC2 or the PMI for the professional certifications. PDU just stands for Professional Development Unit, roughly equivalent to about an hour of effort. So over those 3 years, it might be 60 hours of additional training or reading books or participating in community programs or working or using your skills to volunteer. There's a huge list if you click on that link at the bottom. When you get the presentation, you can read more about it. Oh, and for the inactive certification holders, the way you get your certification reactivated is by demonstrating that you've been actively using open source for the previous 12 months. So if you don't want to join now and you're inactive, and maybe next year sometime, it would be the 12 months from then. That would be the window that we'd look at. And just a little light reading for anybody that wants a clear definition of PDU. All right. Caitlin, any questions?
No questions so far.
All right, I'm saving them all for last. All right, so what will happen if you're a member? Well, the first one, which wasn't actually high on the list of interest for people when they answered the survey of what they're looking for in a membership program, but one of the most important to the organization is the governance. So there will be annual board elections. I believe a third of the board would be rotated out each year. And as well, there's also a nominating committee. Those are volunteers that want to help find potential board members. You don't have to be a member of LPI to be a board member. But if you are a member, there are some self-nominating or mutual nominating opportunities if you feel you're ready for a board position and maybe being overlooked by the nominating committee. And the other thing that will happen as well is an annual general meeting. All members will be invited. There'll probably be a small physical location, but we're doing our best to make this a meeting that can be what's the word for it? A good meeting for everybody, even if they're participating remotely. And hopefully we'll be able to support more than English as well. At that meeting, you'll be seeing things like the annual report, financial statements for the organization, or members would be able to submit, proposals for things that they'd like the rest of the members to see formally. And that will happen sometime in the second quarter of each year. It has to happen before July 1st of each year. So expect it to be end of May or sometime in June. There's also a number of community programs that we have. Some of them are around helping with the exam and learning material development or translations, but there's also events. There's our blog, and there's the fosslife.org magazine that was launched. And there's a number of others that are coming up as well. There's also committees. Probably for this group, the most interesting one would be the Member Engagement Committee. That one, we've actually set our first meeting of that one for October 21st. And it's going to do a straw man poll of what would be a good time. It's a Wednesday, I believe. I was going to suggest 9:30 Eastern, but anyone that thinks they'll be a member at that point, you're welcome to come to the committee meeting. If you are, then maybe leave a comment on what you think of the 9:30 idea, a.m. All right. And then there's also some other community services. This is the portal that I'll be showing you later on in the presentation, where it's for members, but it's also for anyone that's getting certified or wants to participate in any of the volunteer programs. We do have some partners that are offering discounts to anybody that provides us their registration information as well, although some of the better deals seem to be coming for the members themselves. But I guess that's the game we're playing, which seems nice, a nice one. We're also have a hiring partner program, so there'll be some jobs posted there that people can sign up for notifications if they want to be told about ones that match their search or their filters. And this is also where the approved trainers would come and hang out in this portal as well. LPI.org/trainers, I think, if you want some details on that. All right. And then as well, part of the membership is a membership kit. It comes with a card similar to the one that you get with your certifications. It also has the certifications on the back, so you don't have to carry around all those cards. It comes with a few other things, but also to keep the shipping easy and prevent damage and everything, we don't ship a full certificate, full page one, like we do for the certifications. We ship it with a gold foil seal, and then if anybody wants to, they can download a PDF of their membership certificate, and they can frame it or do whatever they feel they'd like to do with it. Yeah. All right.
We do have a couple questions here.
Okay.
Back to the PDUs.
Mm-hmm.
What if you don't get enough PDUs? Will the membership deactivate?
Yeah, there's a grace period. I think it's set at 6 months. And again, this is over 3 years. And I know if it weren't for the last minute, nothing would ever get done. But if you're actively working and you're reading a technical article or two every month or so, I think it'd be difficult. We tried to make this, easy for people to accomplish. And we're also, for instance, coming to this webinar counts, going to be doing a lot more things, including, sites like fosslife.org that will make it easy for people to accumulate these PDUs. And also make it so that, for instance, maybe some integration with FOSSLife. So if you read it, the PDU is submitted for you, so it's not even a lot of paperwork or bureaucracy.
Okay, great.
And if you're having any trouble, just contact us. We could find some volunteer stuff for you to do too. And there's basically the 3 pillars for PDUs. There's continuing education, using your skills, at work or for other nonprofits or whatever, and then participating in community programs.
That's great, because that's one of the other some examples of accepted activities for PDUs. I wonder if we could show that page later on as well.
Yeah, I think magic would happen if I click this. There we go. So long list, and again, it's mostly tries to get, it's mostly based on theoretically how much time it would be to accomplish that this PDU. So for instance, writing a book, I think that's 1/3 of the PDUs right there. Not that everyone's writing a book every 3 years, but blogs, sharing your knowledge, any of those things would count. Going to conferences, things like that.
That's great. So if someone, for example, were to read an article, how would they prove, or is that going to be happening in the demo a little bit later?
Well, I've got a couple of screenshots, but I could always do a live demo if people wanted to as well.
Okay. Right. And one last question for right now. So how often does the active certifications information on the people.lpi.org/certification section of the membership area refresh in order to reflect the current status of the candidate?
So we are still completing the integration between the people.lpi.org portal and our credential management system. Right now, the primary holder of that data is the credential management system. So your address, which credentials you have, name, email address, everything is managed there. The integration with people, it pulls that data from the credential management system. And we are working on improving it so that it is always accurate, or at least, accurate anytime you log in or anytime anyone accesses your data. But then also we have to work on a periodic refresh just if you don't go to that people site at all and just, maybe change your email address or something. That I don't see that taking more than a month or so. You got a couple of different groups that are working together, and it's just working through that. That's, mostly taking the time. But if there's ever any problem with the data, you could always email info@lpi.org, and we can always do something to fix it manually.
Wonderful. Okay, thanks, Matt.
All right. There we go. Okay. When and where. So the when's changed. So you can join now with the caveat of the conditions of membership. And you just have to go to people.lpi.org. You can log in with your LPI ID and your password that you use over on the credential management system. And if you don't have an LPI ID already, you just go to lpi.org/register and fill it in. And then you can come back to people.lpi.org to log in. You will see a screen like this for your dashboard right now. And you'll be part of one of these 2 tracks. Either you'll have an active certification from LPI already, and then you can move on and agree to the terms and become a member, or you have an inactive certification, which was my situation when I joined. That's why this is black. And the gold is the next step, which is to submit 20 PDUs. If you have the active certification, you don't have to do that part. So for any of you that already have active certifications, you can go get a drink of water for the next 3 slides until the next AMA. This is what you'd have to do if you have to submit the 20 PDUs. So you just click on the PDUs, although the dashboard will also be telling you you need to submit your 20 PDUs. And as you're doing it, you'll see a summary of how many you've submitted and what state they're in. These are the categories. They're also listed on the website. So you select the category for it you're submitting, and then you'll see a form like this where you put in, a short title, description of what you did. If you want to, you can supply some supporting materials. So at that point, I think, or a file. So it could be a scan of, your conference pass or something like that, or a link to the article you wrote if it's publicly available. It's optional when you submit the PDU, but there is a random percentage chance that it will be audited, and then you'll be asked to supply the supporting material. Industry standard seems to be 10 to 20% audit rate. Right now, we're looking at all of them, and haven't been asking for a lot of supporting material because people are actually filling in a lot of details with the supporting material. So people have been mostly behaving themselves. So once you're past that part, you can then click on plans and accept the membership agreement. It's not an OILA, you have to read it. And once you click accept, you're then given an option for what term of membership you want. You can go for 1 year or 3 years. It doesn't change the PDU cycle. If you're a member for 1 year, you don't actually have to submit any PDUs if you won't be continuing membership. But if you do continue to the end of that 3 years, even 1 year at a time, at that point, you will have to have submitted the 60 PDUs to renew your membership for any amount of time at all. And at that point, once you decide which term you want, the ball is in our court, and then we review the application, and you'll be notified via email how to pay your dues. Once the dues are paid, then you're a member. There's no more steps at that point. And that was it. If anybody would like a demo of the site, it is up. We've got a few dozen members so far. We'll be starting our email campaigns to tell people about it. I'd say probably this month or early next month. So if you are a certification holder, expect an email eventually, unless you told us not to contact you, then we won't.
Okay, great. We don't have too many follow-up questions, actually. One question that had come in, would you be able to maybe address a little bit the benefits of being a member? How could someone become a member and have that membership help them potentially get back to work or start a business of their own, if that's even an option?
Right. So there are a lot of plans for our membership program to have the types of services like that, like the hiring partner program, or even just the content to help you get more skills, or someone even mentioned resume writing advice. Those things, some of them are in development and coming, and they could possibly help. I think the value, though, for the membership program itself would be more in the networking opportunities that we're going to try and create through those community programs, as well as an opportunity for people to demonstrate their skills publicly. Everyone's supposed to have a GitHub account with a lot of Python on there or something, but not everybody does, especially if they're more on the side of system administration. So those are the sort of things that we're working on. But outside of that, the biggest value I think for LPI for that sort of thing is its certification program. So possibly trying for a higher level credential might be an option as well. But we are also beta testing, the hiring partner program and stuff. So depending on your geography, you can just contact us. We might actually be looking for people that can participate in some of those programs.
Okay, great. Those are the questions that we have so far. If there's any demos that you wanted to show, we could potentially go through a couple of them now.
Let's see. I did have, well, I have the people portal up here, so I'll just do a quick one here. These are my, yeah, that's my account, good. These are the past PDUs I submitted. If I wanted to say submit a PDU for today, I would go down here. It takes a while to find it, but it's that add activity. And, ooh, I hosted one though, didn't I? Oh. Speaking. No, I don't know. I'm not sure which one I'd get. We might have to add another category. So for now, I'll just say attending that. And, oops. And at this point, I would go and get a link to it. So just pretend I did. And it was then, and I would click submit. And it would then show up as one that's being under review. So it either go to accepted, under review, or if it's one of the ones that's flagged automatically for additional material, it might be under material requested state. But that's basically it. And then
a quick question about that. Would so if there's any promoted webinars that LPI will be hosting on the LPI website, would a PDU be indicated on that promotion as to how many PDUs this activity would get?
Yeah, we should start doing that.
Very cool.
Yeah. And we do have someone almost starting to work on a Firefox and probably Chrome add-on that would let you just, click to submit something that you were reading, for instance, as a PDU, and it would submit the URL and everything. Not sure when that's going to see light of day, but something I think would be pretty handy.
Okay, great. We do have a question. Are there member-only webinars, or will there be?
I think we're torn on that one. We are trying to make everything, especially information and knowledge, as accessible to everybody as possible. So putting up that sort of barrier to people is something I think we're still debating. And it might be that the webinar would be for members only, but afterwards anybody could view it, or they would get, first dibs on coming or something like that. But we are trying to balance the, the value for the members with just, serving the community at large. So it's not been ruled out, but I don't, Caitlin, you'd let me know if there are maybe any planned, but I don't think so.
There's none planned right now, but yeah, that's definitely going to be an ongoing conversation, I think.
Actually, I could see some coming, for instance, the trainer program. No, there it is. So there's two trainer programs. There's a registered trainer, and anybody can be a registered trainer. It's actually our training partner. There's not a lot of perks to being a registered trainer with us, although we will try and keep them informed and invite them to stuff. But there's also, it's not on here yet. There's also an approved trainer program, and that is one that will have, we'll be, promoting them to training partners. Like, you can hire these guys because training partners are always looking for new trainers, and a lot of contract trainers are always looking for new training partners to work with. Quite likely that we'll have some member-only stuff for them, because the way we're launching the trainer program is it's a member service. So any of our members that are trainers can get that approved trainer status. And we did this so that we don't have to charge for the program. And if you're already a member, it's included. So, so it's likely those guys might get some, you know, approved trainer only stuff. And yeah, at that point, it's not members only; it'd be for those guys. But yeah, I mean, it's possible.
Okay. In order to become part of some volunteer projects, at what level of knowledge is required? So for some of us on track to become certified, we often hear that we need more experience, and they're just curious on the entry point. What would be appropriate for them?
I'd say it depends on the program, right? So, for instance, the Share Your Voice one, we've had people just write their experience going. I remember one guy; he was a Spanish and Japanese language teacher, and he decided he liked Linux, so he went and got his LPIC one, and his writing was about that journey and how LPIC one helped, but it helped because he also started going and networking. He went to some Linux user group meetings, and within 6 months of doing those two things, he had a job somewhere and was quite happy. And actually, within a year, they'd actually promoted him to a much better position. So the experience level doesn't matter. For the community events one, when we were going to events and had booths, um, there's training involved in that program. So we make sure that you know what our programs are and what they mean, and certification programs. So in that case, you don't need any experience because we help you get it, or that knowledge. Contributing translations, aside from jargon that you might not know, you just have to know 2 languages, and you can help. And committees, that's where minutes are taken and hours are lost. But they're essential. So for those ones, it depends on the committee. For instance, there's a BSD committee. You should at least be enthusiastic about BSD to join that one. The learning materials is where the more experience, the better. And then there's other ones that we're working on, either helping to create ones. For instance, we're still want to do another level of polish for this one, other than just listing the package maintainer for Debian, actually creating some additional training to help them prepare to be a package maintainer for Debian. So there's, it's all over the board. And the other thing is, this isn't static. The reason that we have the member engagement committee is so that we can figure out what other things we should be doing collectively that would help engage our members, whether internally with LPI activities or other things that help us with our mission, which, more open source, basically.
That's right. Okay, great. Let's say I have no professional certification yet. Mm-hmm. Can I already start gathering PDU points for future use?
You can, but they're not needed to get your certification. They're needed to maintain membership. And the entry to membership, once you have that active certification, is accepting the terms and the dues. It's not until you become a member that the PDUs kick in. And this was, for the last 20 years, the only way for you to maintain the active state of your certifications was either to go up a level or to redo it, which isn't really the way the world works. I mean, people get that credential and they move on, they learn more, right? And they use it. And that's what this membership program is meant to reflect. It's the certification plus experience, plus continuing education. So don't worry about the PDUs until you're a member.
Okay, great. That wraps up all of the questions we have.
All right, great. In that case, thank you everybody for coming.
Thank you, Matt. That's a lot of fantastic information. So thanks for walking us through that membership program. that is the time that we have today. So thanks for everyone for joining us and asking your questions. We hope we've answered all of them. And if not, please don't hesitate to reach out to myself and I can get the question answered for you. I will be sending around the presentation slides and the recording and contact information over the next week. So look out for that. We have scheduled our next AMA membership. So if you do become a member shortly, please join us on December 9th to find out more at 10 a.m. Eastern, and we will definitely be recording that one as well. So thank you again for your participation. Matt, thank you very much for walking us through that. And I hope everyone has a great day.
Thanks again.